Hello students, welcome to this video. In this video we will start with lesson 8, roots. What's the meaning of roots? We will learn what is the meaning of roots. The first type of roots we will introduce today is what do we call a square root. What is the meaning of a square root? Okay, from previous lessons we know the word square. We know what is a square of a number. Remember the exponents? If we have something like 1 times 1, 1 times 1, this can be written in terms of exponents as 1 squared. So 1 squared is the square of 1. Let's take another example. 2 times 2. 2 times 2 can be written in terms of exponents as 2 squared. This is how we write these numbers in terms of exponents, and we can find their values. We can find that 1 times 1 equals 1. So we say that 1 is the square of 1. Okay, and 2 times 2 or 2 squared is equal to 4. And we can say again that 4 is the square of 2. Okay, another example, 3 times 3 can be written in terms of exponents as 3 squared. And 3 squared is equal to 9. So if I ask you, what is the square of 3? You say 9 is the square of 3. Okay, how is this related to the square root? How is this all related to the square roots? First of all, we need to introduce the radical sign. What do we call the radical sign? This sign like this. This one here is called the radical sign. This sign used to represent the square root. Okay, what is the meaning of having a square root? Let's take an example of this. We put the number under the radical sign. Let's try to find the square root of 4. So we write 4 under the radical sign, like this. So what's the meaning of this sign here? It's the radical sign, and it represents the square root. How can we read this number here? We can read this by saying the square root of 4. Now, to find that, we need to ask ourselves a very important question. And this question is, what is the number that we can multiply, that when we multiply it by itself, it will give us 4? What is the number that can be multiplied by itself to give us 4? This is the question we ask to solve the square root. Okay, what is that number here? Of course, yes, it's 2. 2 times 2 gives us 4. That's why we write the square root of 4 is equal to 2. Okay, it is similar. We can see here, we can notice that 2 squared is equal to 4, while the square root of 4 equals 2. Okay, let's try another example. The square root of what? The square root of 9. Okay, so we ask ourselves the question, what is the number that if multiplied by itself, it will give us 9? Of course, that number is 3. 3 times 3 is equal to 9, so we write the square root of 9 is equal to 3. And here again, we can notice that 3 squared is equal to 9. What about the square root of 1? What is the number that can be multiplied by itself to give us 1? It is also 1. 1 times 1, 1 times 1 gives us 1. So the square root of 1 is 1. And we can see here that 1 squared is equal to 1. Okay, from here we can notice that the square root is the inverse process of squaring a number. Okay, If we have a number squared, like 3 squared equals to 9, and the square root, so that the square root of 9 equals to 3. It is the inverse process of squaring a number. How can we define roots? It's just the inverse of squaring a number. Okay, to undo the squaring a number. Okay, for practice, try to find the value for the following roots. The square root of 16, what is it equal to? And the square root of 25. Try to find the values for these two squares. Thank you. See you in another video.